Welcome. I'm Erin. I'm a librarian at Brewerton. Um, Erin, why are you talking about ChatGPT? Well, I have about 10 years of experience as a technology-focused librarian, and I have some interest in the topic myself. And so when the news started going haywire about ChatGPT in the spring, I was like, better check this out. Wonder what sort of implications we have for libraries. So that's what I did. I did sort of some sessions with ChatGPT where I asked it questions and tried to figure out how well of a reference librarian job it does. Trying to see what sort of books it will recommend me based on books that I've read before and liked. I asked it about, books for certain reading levels. I've asked it, give me all the books that this person has written. I asked it, does, the Onondaga County Library have these books? It can't answer that question. It can't answer all these questions very specifically. But my first interest in it was with it and learned it's not going to take my job very soon. I wanted to figure out, okay, so why is it important? What do people actually do with it? What can they do with it? And so I attended a 3-session boot camp about ChatGPT and libraries specifically. I've read some breaking news about ChatGPT and what's happening. And so this is kind of my perspective. Some of these things are just what I've been able to learn. So your best source for accuracy is probably a book like ChatGPT for Dummies, something like that. And the New York Times has just a ton of articles about ChatGPT. So you have any interest in that? If you're in any of the city libraries or the city branches, you can get to the New York Times subscription for free if you have any interest. So let's talk a little bit about the topic at hand. So I have the current issue of Time magazine, and it's got Sam Altman on the cover, and he is I believe he's the CEO, of OpenAI, which is the company that runs ChatGPT. So this guy's a big deal. He's making tons of money. He had an investment from Microsoft. I think it was 10 billion, and he's returned $1 billion. Why, you may ask? Why are they making so much money? Well, I'll get into it. So so let's start at the very beginning. So the name of the tool is ChatGPT. So it's Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer. It's not a name that sort of trips off the tongue at all. But this generative pre-trained transformer business indicates that it's working with language, and it's basically an expensive word generator. So that generative is indicates that it's sort of generating language in the responses it's giving you. So basically a very sophisticated and expensive word generator. It's expensive because it is closer to natural language than a random word generator. So we've beefed up our sophistication on how closely this tool can sort of mimic human speech. So ChatGPT is a chat bot, which means you talking to like a somebody who's helping you, customer service representative over chat. That's kind of the same idea. So it's powered by artificial intelligence. which gives it a wider range of answers than a regular chatbot would. So usually when you're talking to a chatbot, there are canned answers that are like, if the person talking to you says A, give them B. And so sometimes you can get sort of caught in loops with these canned chatbot answers. But this is more powerful because it was not designed for a specific purpose, and it doesn't have pre-programmed responses. This specific AI chatbot uses the method of neural networks to generate responses. So neural networks is a kind of tool in computing that where you give, okay, there's a lot of different sort of decision points, and those mimic what's going on in the human brain. So sometimes they say, you know, there's like enough neural connections that it is the same as the human brain has. So when they're saying artificial intelligence, it's not like a human-shaped robot that's going to talk to you and replace humans. It's a man-made thing that is trying to mimic a brain. That's what artificial intelligence means in this sense. Yeah, a neural network is a method of teaching computers to process data in a way that is inspired by the human brain. And this processing is also called deep learning, which is a very human way to put it. So what happens is the algorithm, or the way that ChatGPT is programmed, it reads and processes billions of writing samples and other data from the internet, and then the model produces outputs based on the prompts of the user. So if I'm like, we'll get into this. Why don't we do one? So so I'm typing in a prompt for ChatGPT. And I have typed, hi ChatGPT, can you tell me 3 reasons why I should get a cat? I already own a cat, so I have some idea of why I should get one. I am going to go ahead and correct my typing. It has started a new thread over on the left. And ChatGPT loves words. It lives and thrives on words, so it will often give you more words than you need. So ChatGPT says, certainly, cats make wonderful companions, and here are 3 reasons why you might consider getting a cat: companionship and emotional support, stress relief and relaxation, health benefits. And then this little blurb at the bottom: remember that owning a cat also comes with responsibilities such as providing proper care, you know, and make sure that you have these resources before you try to bring a cat into your life. So it's making assumptions based on my prompt. It's saying, okay, given me, and they're interested in learning some pros about cat ownership, and so this is what it's generated. So it has read tons and tons of text about what people have said about cats, and it says, you know, based on those, this is the probability of these words following after each other in a response that I have in my storage. So that's basically what's happening. So additionally, ChatGPT is a large language model, and a large language model is a computerized language model run by an artificial neural network using billions of parameters that accesses and analyzes vast amounts of text in a relatively short time. So that's a part of this. This would, you know, 10 years ago, this would have taken way, way longer to do. Yes. So based on the prompts that the user provides, the computer model uses the probabilities to predict what words would come next in context. That's great. So if we were to do something like now, the thing about ChatGPT is that it will take into account any prompts you've given it previously. So we might have a little bit of a cat bias in this chat that we're going to be talking about because I opened with that and it's the first one up there. So let's go ahead and say, ChatGPT, please tell me one, or tell me the most important thing a member of the public needs to know about you. Get it to pull its weight a little bit in this presentation. loves the words. Loves it, absolutely. So I also did not give it any parameters as to length of this response. So it has chosen this length. I'm just going to check real quick. Yeah. Alrighty. So we are generating this response based on ChatGPT. Please tell me the most important thing a member of the public needs to know about you. And let's see. It is an artificial intelligence language model created by OpenAI. It has been trained on a vast amount of text data to generate responses and engage conversations with users. It is crucial to remember that I am an AI and my responses are based on patterns and information available to me up until September 2022. So this is ChatGPT 3.5. Right now we're on ChatGPT 4, but you got to pay money to get to 4. So in 3.5, that is information up until September 2021. So it's less good at pulling information after that. As an AI, I don't possess personal experiences, emotions, or consciousness. My purpose is to assist and provide information to the best of my abilities. It is important to critically evaluate and verify the information I provide, especially when it comes to specific or time-sensitive topics. Always cross-check important details. Furthermore, be aware that I do not have access to personal data about individuals unless it has been shared with me during our conversation. In summary, I am an AI language model here to assist and provide information. So this is a very sort of general overview, and we can change and shape what ChatGPT gives us by the way we ask it questions. But I'm going to get to that later. So we've talked about what ChatGPT is. We've talked a little bit about how it works. It's based on probabilities of word order from this big millions of written works that it has analyzed. Let's talk about what ChatGPT is bad at. ChatGPT is bad at sources. So there are students who go to ChatGPT and ask, please give me 10 sources about topic X, and it will return some sources that are real and some sources that are not real. And this is because it is more concerned with probabilities of words than it is about truth. So there's no truth analysis really going on between when you ask it a question and when it responds to you. So it is very important, as it even said, to check everything, especially if it's crucial or critical for decision making. Anything it tells you is up for to be verified by the user. Check one more time. Yep, let's make sure we can get everybody in here. I believe that's everybody who is expected online. Alrighty, so it's bad at sources, and many college students have found this out. There was recently a article, which we can get to later, but there's an AP News article from June 8th. Lawyers blame ChatGPT for tricking them into citing bogus case law. So it will even make up cases, and so everything needs to be verified, especially if it's crucial or critical to decision making or parts of your job. So that's that. It's bad at math because it's not a math-based algorithm or program. It's language-based. And so, oh, let's see. Hope I'm getting everybody. I'm sorry I'm getting you in late here. Let's just go ahead and clear up this list. I think that's everybody. Welcome everybody online. We've got 4 people in person and 6 people online. Thank you so much for coming. We've already started the discussion. We talked a little bit about what ChatGPT is, which is a very sophisticated word generator. And we've talked about a little bit about how it works. So it uses probabilities to line up words after one another in response to a prompt. We're talking about what ChatGPT is bad at. So its sources, it's math. It's bad at 100% factual responses. So there's no oversight as far as what is true and what is not. And so, I asked it like questions about books, and it will give me just fake books. Just it'll say, oh yeah, this author is popular and this is a string of words that people use for titles. It's just not a real book. So it's important to check. So it's also bad at being available 24/7. There are sometimes when it's down, the server is overloaded. It's hard to get to all the time, especially if you're using the most current GPT-4 setup. So that is hard to get to. Every time I've used ChatGPT, ChatGPT based on GPT 3.5, it's been okay. And that's what you're seeing on your screen now. If you're on Teams, this is ChatGPT based on GPT 3.5, the previous model. What else is it bad at? Lack of common sense knowledge. So, so like, this is an easy one, but ChatGPT, whoop, what are the pros of, let me give this a specific parameter. What are 2 pros of touching a hot stove? Let's see. I haven't actually tested this one, so we'll see what AI thinks this might be. Serious burns and injury. Okay. Potential learning opportunity. Wow, I love it. So, touching a hot stove can result in serious burns and injury. It is strongly advised to avoid touching a hot stove or any other hot surfaces to prevent harm. However, to provide a balanced answer to your question, thank you, ChatGPT, I appreciate it, immediate awareness of danger and learning from experience. So in this case, ChatGPT has seen enough examples in writing that touching a hot stove is bad, that it's trying really hard to give us something, and I really do appreciate that. So it might be like some people use ChatGPT to plan their travel, and so it might be that ChatGPT is unaware that a woman might not want to travel in certain areas at certain times of the day or year, and it might not provide that specific information to you readily when we're doing planning, travel planning with it. What else is it bad at? So providing unbiased information. So ChatGPT, a main criticism is besides the fact that it will provide not factual information. And the other thing is that it provides biased information. When ChatGPT makes something up or lies, some people will call that hallucinations. It's an interesting term. And again, it's giving ChatGPT a lot more consciousness and sentience that maybe it deserves. But it's an interesting social thing that's happening. So unbiased information. So ChatGPT is inclined towards information that has appeared more times in writing and less interested in what might be the truth or what might be the truth from a specific perspective. So it's important to keep in mind. On this train of thought, the FTC has recently requested information about possible misleading information given to customers about bias, privacy, and with the intent of uncovering the bias issue and the privacy issue and the factual information issue. So that's what ChatGPT is bad at. Maybe not a comprehensive list, but an important list to be sure. So how do people use ChatGPT? Well, they go to openai.com and they sign up. If you want to use ChatGPT with the previous model 3.5, it is free. I'm using a Microsoft account right now to access 3.5. If you want to use excuse me, the most current model, which is GPT-4, you need to upgrade to Plus, which you can see right here. It wants you to do it so badly, but then you have to pay money for that. So not interested personally. So that is the basics of accessing ChatGPT. There are other ways to access GPT 3.5 and GPT-4, the models, without going through ChatGPT. So OpenAI has software connections, APIs and plugins, which allow software companies to get access to that model without going through ChatGPT. So there are apps, tons of apps, ChatSonic. I have a list. ChatSonic, Genie, Be My Eyes. You can even get to it through Snapchat. So this is kind of where the money is happening. This connection between the models and other apps and what people are imagining you can do with all of this power. And so people are making, new tech startups to make an app that will use ChatGPT and GPT-4. Things like, a personal assistant that's even more powerful than like Siri or Alexa. Integrations where you can, ask this GPT app to, put something into your calendar and then, put it in your email, compose a message based on like a message your boss sent you or your friend sent you, and send it back, stuff like that. And there's so much more that could possibly be done. The thing to note here is that there are also a lot of people who are saying that they're using GPT 3.5 or GPT-4 and they're not. So I saw a couple articles that was about like people saying that the GPT servers aren't available right now, or there's so much traffic on it. This might be actually apps that are saying they're using GPT 3.5 or 4, but they're not. So it's very important to, if you're going to go the app route and look into that exciting rabbit hole, that whether the app you're using is actually connected to GPT 3.5, GPT-4. And it's also important to keep in mind that you can access GPT 3.5 for free. So if an app is telling you to pay $2.99 to access it, I wouldn't do that. I would go and access it directly through ChatGPT. Anyway, how do people actually use it? So we're going to talk about prompt engineering. So these are things you can do to your prompt to hopefully get ChatGPT to give you better answers, or answers that are more interesting or relevant, to your context. So prompt engineering is thinking like the AI, thinking like ChatGPT, and it's understanding how the AI will respond and what its capabilities are, and using them to create a useful product. You can also ask ChatGPT to make prompts, something like, please generate 10 complex prompts for ChatGPT to learn more about what it is like to own a cat. So I can go in here and I can say, please generate one great prompt to learn more about international travel. So what it's done is it's given me like a advertising line. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask it again, but a little different, so that I can get a ChatGPT prompt. Excuse me, let me type appropriately. Somebody name a European country. France, great. See what it'll do. No, it's giving me like advertising. Um, so let's see if I do something like this. And if I give it an open-ended question, like what are my travel options in France, it's going to give me like maybe 10 or 15 options. So it's important to sort of limit it. I would say please provide free options for travel destinations in France. Paris, great. Provence, I think. French Riviera. So these are very popular travel destinations. And so, yeah, so we're doing a little bit of prompt engineering here. Let's see. How can I? To learn more about Paris. Yeah, it's giving me it's giving me ads. Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and try the one that I did before about cats. So see if we can get it out of this mode. 8, thank you. 10 complex 4. That H loves to capitalize. So I've given it the following prompt. Please generate 10 complex prompts for ChatGPT to learn more about what it is like to own a cat. And here we have several prompts. So I could then take one of these, like this second one, discuss the various factors to consider when choosing the right cat breeding, the right cat breed for your lifestyle, taking into account activity levels, grooming requirements, and temperament. Then I could feed that back into ChatGPT, and then I'm gonna just say in 300 words because it loves the words. See what it does with this. Alrighty, so we have maybe 8 paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 paragraphs. So it's essential to consider several factors such as activity levels, grooming requirements, and temperament. Activity levels, grooming requirements, temperament are the next 3 paragraphs. Additionally, it is important to consider the capability of cat breed with children. Researching and consulting reputable sources, breeders, and experienced cat owners can provide valuable insights. Remember, while breed characteristics can provide a general understanding, each cat has its own personality, so it's important to interact with individual cats before making a final decision. So it's pretty practical, and it's pretty clear how this flow goes. But what I want to bring attention to is that we asked it to give us a prompt, and then we put the prompt back in. So if it's behaving for us, that's one thing we can do. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about this prompt up here. Please generate 10 complex prompts for ChatGPT to learn more about what it is like to own a cat. So the things that I would call prompt engineering that I did, when you're talking to somebody, you'd be like, oh yeah, what's it like to own a cat? Or how do you interact with your cat? Or what would you say are the pros of, having a cat, or whatever you might say. So I didn't ask it exactly like I would to a human. So I said, please generate 10 complex prompts for ChatGPT to learn more about what it is like to own a cat. I gave it some very specific context prompts for ChatGPT. And then I said 10 of them. So I gave it very specific parameters of scope. And then I also told it I wanted it to be complex. So what I might do now is do the same thing and make it simple prompts instead, right? Maybe I've decided that this topic is a little bit too much for a beginner like me, and I want instead some simple prompts. So they're already shorter. Um, so what are some common daily routines and responsibilities involved in taking care of a cat? How do cats communicate their needs and emotions? And what are some common behaviors cat owners should be familiar with? Yep. What are some tips for creating a safe and cat-friendly home environment? What are the benefits of having a scratching post? How can cat owners encourage their cats to use it? Amazing. How can cat owners promote a healthy diet and weight management for their feline companions? So these are very important, I would say, as a cat owner. They're sort of fundamental information about cat ownership, but it's pretty easy to understand. They're short prompts, and then of course I can take one of these and put it back in. And so what we learn through accessing ChatGPT is that it generates the responses as in real time as you type them. It's not pulling from any specific source. It's pulling from a whole bunch of sources that it has. And so if I were to put this in one more time, it will give me a different answer. And so I'm going to go back up and see where it starts to deviate. Feeding, litter box, grooming, play and exercise, social interaction. These are very similar because it's a very similar prompt in a very similar context. But I have given it different prompts at different times. The same prompt at Alrighty, so that's prompt engineering. Priming is very similar to prompt engineering, but this is giving more context for ChatGPT to provide the response that you want. So by providing a specific prompt or priming phrase, you can guide ChatGPT to generate responses that align with the desired theme, style, or context. This is how ChatGPT describes priming. The thing that I just read. By providing a specific prompt or priming phrase, you can guide ChatGPT to generate responses that align with the desired theme, style, or context. If you are looking for a 300-word response, you can state that in the prompt to get closer to what you want. You can also ask ChatGPT for a primed prompt. So it's very similar to prompt engineering. Actually, priming is a subset. It's a type of prompt engineering. And so, just give it some context. I need a simple description of a bike for an advertisement. And I am maybe confusing or befuddling ChatGPT a little bit because I'm not staying on the same theme in this chat. I'm kind of jumping here and there, theme to theme. And what I'm going to also say is maybe a 50-word. Love putting parameters on ChatGPT. See how this goes. Discover the freedom of riding a bike. Transferring energy to the wheels with the push of your legs. As you pedal, the gears and brakes give you control, allowing you to navigate effortlessly and experience the joy of cycling. Unleash your adventure on 2 wheels. I want to go ride a bike now. That's pretty cool. So what it's doing here, you can kind of feel it. It's sort of trying to make some excitement or generate some interest and energy. And so when I put this is for an advertisement, it kind of picked up on that and started to use some engaging and action-y language. Excuse me. So that's the power of ChatGPT.
Descriptions of things, and then it kind of figures out where you're trying to go.
Right. So the question was, has it just read a lot of stuff and it sort of figures out where, what your intention is? And so in some ways, yes, it's read probably several descriptions of how bikes work. And it's also read a bunch of ads. And so it's like, okay, so if we were to overlap these two, what does the Venn diagram, the center of that Venn diagram look like? Taking into account whatever bike ads, it's already seen. And so it might also have connections to, bikes like sports, bikes like skiing, bikes like other things, snowshoeing or whatever it might be. And so, how have people talked about these activities in an enticing, energizing way? Oh, they use this word, they use this word, they use this word. And it's all, again, it's that probabilities thing where, let's say it's got 50 examples of a bike ad and the first word is discover in half of them. So it's going to put discover as the first one here. Yeah. So that's all in the coding. It's a great question. I think it's partially because it's seen so many examples, and so it's pretty much baked in. But ChatGPT is a tool that has been, the learning has been reinforced, which means that over many iterations, many opportunities, ChatGPT has provided prompts to the people who work at OpenAI. And those engineers have said, okay, this prompt is great. this prompt is not so good because of this, this, this. This prompt can use some work because of this, 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 this. And so it also gets some of that reinforcing feedback through interactions with people as well. And so I think, again, it's that combination. The grammar comes about through the combination of seeing it so many times, and then also getting reinforcement if it's going off track. So that's where the sort of deep learning comes in.
But considering how bad most of the writing I see online is, I don't understand how it's generating stuff that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know either, but it's a great question. We might get to why the writing might be a little bit better than the average writing you see online later on. But anyway, so this is excuse me. This is sort of the really fun. Some people have described ChatGPT as a two-way word processor. So it's almost like two people are sitting at a word processor going back and forth, and you can get really specific about the changes you want. So we have this little 50-word description, and so I might be able to. Let's see if this will work. Thanks. Can you translate this? The previous response into French. See if we can do this. It's just going to give it its best shot. I am not fluent in French. I'm sorry. But I will. I know that vélo is bike, so that they're at least on the right track there. But you can actually, once you have something, you can ask ChatGPT to make changes. Oh yeah. It's a great idea. Set yourself free and pedal. Your legs propel the chain, transferring energy to the wheels. Gears and brakes give you control. Experience the joy of cycling with effortless simplicity. I mean, that's English, I would say. We have a, yeah. So we have a really good question from Anna. Is it just your personality saying please before each inquiry, or is there a difference in answers as compared to a more direct inquiry? What I have found is that there is a difference. So from what I've read, the way that you approach writing your prompts will change how ChatGPT responds. And so I'm trying my best to be polite. And so, because that's just how I want to be treated. But you can be more rude to ChatGPT, and it will change accordingly. You can actually give it a persona, which is the next prompt, and tell it to be rude. So we're all adults here. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to make this ruder. I'm going to say, I'm going to rewrite this a little bit. Let's see how it feels about this. Okay. All right. So this is important. So you will sometimes run into walls like this where ChatGPT is like, no, I cannot do that. That is not a good thing to do. And sometimes this will come up with specific topics that are highly charged in society, and things that people have a hard time sort of staying chill and calm about. And so there might be a way to think about this a little differently. So ChatGPT, itself, I'm giving it some personality, but it doesn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. So there are ways to sometimes ask it differently. What would a rude person? So we're asking ChatGPT to be a rude person now and not be ChatGPT. You could even use like disgruntled. Use your thesaurus in your head, or if you want to look one up online. TLED. Let's say how there must be a way. Yeah. A blasted bike ride was an absolute nightmare. So it's not necessarily rude or crude, but now it's got that like angry and disgruntled, and yeah. So you can kind of sometimes get around it a different way, especially if you think about synonyms for the words you're using. And then this is a use of personas. So I'm asking ChatGPT to act as a disgruntled person who had a terrible trip on a bike. And so that's a very specific persona. You are an X. So act as a travel agent. You are a career counselor. You can ask ChatGPT to write a menu, like they were a restaurant owner. You write a travel itinerary, like they were a travel agent. Give me career advice. So this is one of those other ways you can engineer your prompts to get more of the response that you need or that you want. Alrighty, so for example, one that I generated previously: as a cat owner, elaborate on the different forms of communication you have observed and developed with your feline companion, such as understanding their body language and vocalizations. So in that case, your persona is a cat owner, and you're asking ChatGPT to sort of take on that persona as it's responding. So from Kathy, if you ask ChatGPT to write a 100-word article for a product you're selling, how do you know if the response is not just copied and you're not plagiarizing? It's an absolutely awesome question. ChatGPT is a bit of a black box. It's in no way open source. We can't tell exactly what it's doing and why it's doing it. And so it's possible that the thing it's typing has been typed before. It's like that, what is it, 1,000 monkeys or whatever could reproduce Shakespeare eventually. The thing you're kind of buying into as you're using ChatGPT is that it's a generative, it's generating the text in the moment. And so that is the way it describes how it works. That's the way OpenAI describes how it works. And so if somehow the probabilities align to recreate exactly some ad that somebody else has made, that is not the intended purpose of it. There might be lawsuits later, who knows? But it's my understanding, in the way that it works, the fact that it is using probabilities to generate responses, that it's not going to reproduce exactly works that it has ingested or works that already exist. The last sort of prompt shaping thing I want to talk about is passages, and we did this a little bit. So you can give ChatGPT paragraphs that you've written or that other people have written, and you can get critique suggestions, synonyms, tone and grammar suggestions, edits. You can ask ChatGPT to analyze and tell me what the style is. They can write an article. ChatGPT can write an article that is 300 words on topic X using the same style as the writing that you put in. So this is like a sort of passages examining system where you can put in your own writing or somebody else's writing, and you can get some analysis about the writing. Anytime, Kathy. What I could do, I have a little paragraph right here, and I could say, please analyze the previous prompt for style. Let's see what ChatGPT will do for us. The previous prompt reflects a disgruntled and negative tone. It conveys strong dissatisfaction and frustration with the bike ride. And so now what I can do, it's got this kind of model, if you will, a small model about what the style was for the previous, and I can say, thanks. Please write a 50-word passage in the same style for, somebody give me a theme or a topic, an action somebody could do. Throwing a baseball. Baseball. All right. So the key here is the same style. Throwing that blasted baseball is a complete disaster. That seems really similar. Yeah, absolute nightmare. Yeah. It's got this sort of same feel and the same structure and the same words that it's using. So anyway, that's something you can do as well. I could put in my writing. Sometimes I have to write, like program descriptions. I could put that in here and be like, ChatGPT, please make this better. And I can get advice for what it thinks I should be doing. We're going to move on a little bit here. So I want to talk a little bit about what people do with ChatGPT. So you've kind of seen how it works. So right off the bat, people lie, cheat, and steal with ChatGPT. So we talked a little bit about the lawyers. So AP News report from June 8th, lawyers blame ChatGPT for tricking them into citing bogus case law. Those lawyers are under a lot of scrutiny right now. They might be disbarred. And so it's very important to understand what the capabilities of ChatGPT are. It is not a search engine. It's being integrated into search engines to make them more to have more natural language, but it is not anything that is reliable in a factual way. Cheating, higher education issues. So you can imagine you could easily type a prompt that says, write me a 5-page essay on Proust or whatever it might be, and you might be able to submit that. Excuse me. In addition, Duke University Libraries page from March 9th, ChatGPT and fake citations. So there are a lot of higher education institutions, academic libraries who have seen students who will approach them with lists of sources, and the sources are not real. Excuse me, and these are source lists that have been generated from ChatGPT. Business Insider article from May 17th. This one's a little complex, so I'm going to dig into this one. A Texas professor failed more than half of his class after ChatGPT falsely claimed it wrote their papers. So this professor thought that ChatGPT had the capabilities to analyze text and tell it if it had generated it. And that is not the case. ChatGPT cannot discern whether it has generated text, a specific text or not. OpenAI is working. They have a product that you can use to detect if ChatGPT has written something. It's still in the process of coming out, and so we're working on that as fast as we can. Let's talk about stealing. So ChatGPT has been used to create lots of spam and phishing emails. So there was a Wired article from April 4th. Brace yourself for a tidal wave of ChatGPT email scams. I've seen an uptick personally in phishing emails that I've in my accounts. And so I think that ChatGPT might be involved. Anyway, so additionally, writers are suing OpenAI for what they allege is the unsanctioned use of their copyrighted works to train ChatGPT's model and also to reproduce text in their writing styles. Specifically, Sarah Silverman is the head alligator, the person who's alleging this, and there's a lot of novelists. Some of very, very famous novelists wrote a letter saying that they were unhappy that it looked like their work had been used to train the model. The model had extensive knowledge of the work, can summarize it very specifically. And so some of this writing ability it has might be taken from the writers you know and love. And so that is an ongoing sort of investigation. Let's talk quickly in the last couple minutes about apps, plugins, APIs, and code. So there are apps that are already using ChatGPT and GPT 3.5 and 4. Duolingo, which is a language learning software. Duolingo Max features the use of GPT-4 for language learning. That is a paid subscription. Be My Eyes is a service that helps improve the lives of those with impaired vision. So GPT-4 processes visual information and translates it. So Be My Eyes can use that function to identify and describe stuff that's in the real world. Chat Sonic is the advanced AI chatbot powered by GPT-4 and can come up with real-time data, image, and voice searches. So that isn't limited to that September 2021 timestamp. It's more current information. Genie is an app that is an AI assistant, and it can help you interact, learn, and achieve goals. All right, plugins and APIs. So this is really exciting, and it's an area I'm sure that is growing in the economy. This is connections between already established software and the ChatGPT functions. So Bing search, if you're using Bing search, it already has GPT-4, I think, incorporated into it. If you've heard of Instacart, which is a service that will deliver groceries to you. You can be playing around in ChatGPT with your recipes, and you can say, hey, can you send those to Instacart, the ones that I don't have, please. ABC Mouse will give you activities for kids 2 to 8 and can include a list of hands-on supplies. So that's if you ask in ChatGPT, hey, give me an activity for a 6-year-old, I've got toothpicks and marshmallows, and it'll do it. Expedia, you can book a vacation itinerary with a defined budget, and just a whole bunch of other ones. So we're getting very close to time, but I wanted to talk just a little bit about why people use it legitimately. So like, what do I use it for? What can you use it for? So I started using it because I was scared that AI was going to replace me, and so I think a lot of people go and check it out because they're like, I don't know what this is. Is am I going to lose my job? Don't know. Um, I probably won't. Luckily. And then the second thing is to offload rudimentary tasks for time saving for as a personal assistant. So a lot of these app connections now are, sort of personal assistant type things. You can, tell ChatGPT or whatever app you're using that's running it, um, you know, write a response to this text message or help me compose an email or whatever it might be. Um, the next thing that people do with it is brainstorming, using it as a sounding board in a two-person word processor. So it's that text analysis, getting your style, getting your format, that kind of stuff. Another thing people do is creativity prompts. So, let's say I'm a clay sculptor and I've run out of ideas and I can say, hey, ChatGPT, give me 5 ideas for what I can make in clay. I'm very good at making bird sculptures, and then it'll give you some more. The next thing is to define steps or suggestions for any process, including developing a learning path. So you can say, ChatGPT, I'd like to learn more about how the universe was created. Please give me some steps so that I can learn how to do that, or so I can learn more about that. Travel planning is a very popular one. Recipes and cooking, so like meal planning, and also language learning. So those are a lot of the things that people are doing already with ChatGPT, in addition to making lots of money, making new software. So it's a big area of growth, I would say, in software development right now. I can take questions for about, I would say about 8 minutes, if people would like.